Hello, everyone. Welcome to second semester. Wait for a few more people to get started. How many do I have now? Dum-de-dum. Okay. I'm going to wait for 3 more people. Hello? All right. I'm going to go ahead and begin. So first of all, some information about the final. I thought you guys did really well. So most of you got, strong grades, I think. There's still a couple of items that I'm putting in, so there could be some minor adjustments. And also, I might round grades if they're borderline, things of that nature. I'll probably be rounding maybe a little bit more generously than I normally would just because of the circumstances for this year. So yeah, that's what's going on with the grades. So we need to kind of kick it into high gear for the IAs. So today I'm going to be I'm going to be focusing for the next few weeks on skills that I think could be useful for your IAs because now I've read all of your finals, and so I have some ideas about skills or tools that might be useful. So with that being said, one of the things I noticed is that many of you are studying or are developing a program where you are going to be reminding someone. You need reminders, okay? And so one of the ways that you could get a reminder is via email. So that's what I'm going to teach you about today. How to send an email using a Java program, okay? All right. So this is going to work. So I don't really need this paper very much today, but let me zoom in here. Let me turn this light on. So, focus this. So we're going to learn how to send an email through Gmail only. So this will not work with other mail servers. Okay. And furthermore, this is kind of a beginner level way of sending an email that I could figure out. And so I would recommend making a test account. Okay. And so the reason for that is that I wouldn't recommend you're just like playing around with the idea of sending an email, and I wouldn't do it with your actual Gmail account. That would be smart. Okay, so I made a test account called RP Test Account, and for Ryan Pettibone Test Account, and that's the one I've been using to play around with this feature. Okay, and furthermore, for that account, you have to go to security, and you have to allow less secure app access. Okay. So basically, again, because we're just playing around with it, Gmail has higher security standards than what the program we're going to build today is implementing. So if you don't go into that Gmail account and allow less secure app access, this is for the sending account. You can send your email to whatever email account you want to, but this isn't Gmail to Gmail. It's Gmail to any email account, but that Gmail account needs to have less secure app access. Otherwise, when you run the program, it's going to block the sign-in attempt, and then you'll get a critical security alert. So that's what happened to me when I tried it. I clicked run on my program, and then all of a sudden I got emails on all these different accounts like, oh my gosh, someone's hacking into your account. Oh my gosh. And it was pretty funny. So keep those things in mind. So let's go ahead and look at the program. And so I'm going to give this to you guys, this code, and you're just going to modify it, because the actual nuts and bolts of sending the email is pretty boilerplate. Okay. So what do we have here? We have a class that is called email sender. Okay. And the class has a static method called send. Okay. So when you call a static method, see how it's just a static method is a method of the class. So see how I have email sender dot send. So I don't have an email sender object. I have the email sender class. Okay. And this is a method of that class. It's a static method. Okay. So this send method, it takes in a bunch of strings. The first string is what is the email address that this email is going to be coming from. The second string is the password of that account. Okay. The third string is the email account that this email is going to. The fourth string is the subject of the email. and the fifth string is the message itself. Okay, so that's what it's that's what this is going to use. So that's basically all this doesn't have the ability to do attachments or anything like that. So then what we do is we need to start a Gmail session. And the way that you do that is by defining the properties of that session. So there is a class called properties, and all the properties class does is it allows you to have a list of properties. Okay, the properties have names, and then they have values. So it's in some sense it's a lot like an array or an array list, where you're just adding in quantities, but instead of index 1, index 2, index 3, you get to name what the index is called. Okay, so I have a properties, which is basically a list of properties, and then you use the put method of the properties class, and you have, so this is the name of the property. So the name is mail.smtp.host. So this is the mail server's name. And then the mail server's name is Gmail. Okay? So you have the name of the property and then the value that property has. The name of the property, what is the socket, what is the port that you're sending the email out of, because your computer has ports, the value of that, etc. Okay? So, you just have a list of properties, and these are all going to be the same every time. So you don't need to mess with that. Don't mess with this. Then once we have the properties, we start a session. So there's a session class. Session. So it's and then I got a session. So the method is called getDefaultInstance, and then I pass that method the properties, and then I have to authenticate the password. So this is a class. It's an inline class that will see how it's using the password and who the email is from. So this is basically going to log into your Gmail account, whichever Gmail account you use. I wouldn't use your personal Gmail account. So then what we do is we compose the message, and the class that holds the message is called MIME message. Okay, so we have MIME message equals a new MIME message using the session that you just opened up. Okay, so you started a session, and now you're going to write an email with that session. So then the MIME message class has a number of methods that are pretty useful. So you can add a recipient. Okay. You can set the subject, and you can set the text. So this is what, we're using all of the original arguments here. Okay. So basically, when we started the session, we used who is the email from and what is the password of that account. And then once we compose the message, we're going to use who is the email to, what is the subject, and what is the message itself. So we're using that. Okay. Whoa, what's happening here? Then there's a transport class. Something weird is happening. Okay. Then there is a transport class, which we then send the message, and then I'm going to print out to the terminal message sent successfully. You need to do this in a try-catch block because it might fail. Okay, so I have the catch will say unable to send message. Okay, so that's our send email method in the email sender class. Now I have a main method. Okay, and here's the main method, and I just have email sender dot send, and then I have my from address, my from password, my to address, my subject, and my message string. So how about someone type in their what I want someone to do is type in your email address, okay? And I am going to send you an email using the program. Someone type in their email address and I will send you an email. I'm waiting for someone to type in their email. And I am also going to be showing you how to compile this because the method of compiling it is a little bit weird. So give me a second. I got to set up sweet. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to send this to Sebastian. So let me go back to here. So if I was going to do this, I will type in, so my to address is going to be Sebastian's address. The subject is going to be yo. And the message string is going to be yo, 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 sup. Okay. Okay, so now I would type in my from address and my password, so I'm going to not show you those things. So I'm typing in my credentials. Okay. So now let me show you how to compile this because it's a little bit weird. So you're actually going to be compiling this from the terminal. Oh, I didn't. Okay, I'll change it to Gmail. There you go. Okay, so I adjusted that. So when you're compiling this, it's best to compile it from the terminal. Okay, so let me show you how to do the terminal. So in the terminal, you're going to put ls. Okay, and ls means list all the folders that are in my home folder. Okay, so ls. And you can see that there is a programming folder. So that's the folder where I keep all my Java programming. So I'm going to change directories. CD means change directories to programming. Okay, so now you can see that I'm in the programming directory. Okay, I was in the home directory, which is squiggle. Now I'm in the programming directory, and I'm going to ls. So when I ls, that means list the items in that folder. So you can see there's a lot in this folder, okay, because it's just where I dump all my programs. And I can see that there is email sender.java. So my program that I just showed you guys is in this folder, okay? And furthermore, in order to compile this program, you need to have two jar files, okay? One is activation.jar, and the other one is mail.jar. So jar stands for Java Archive, and when you go to this week's assignment, those two jar files, you can download them from the assignment, okay? And so you just throw them in the same folder as your program, okay? So now I got to compile it, and it's only going to compile if you have those two jar files in the folder. So I'm going to type in Java C, okay? And so Java C stands for Java Compile dash class path. And then I am going to include those two jar files. So mail.jar. So this is basically compile using these jar files. And I'm going to separate them by a colon. So I have mail.jar colon activation.jar. And then I'm going to put email sender.java. Okay. So this is going to compile it. It's going to take a second. All right, so it compiled. So now I'm going to run it. I'm going to run the program and send the email to Sebastian. And to run it, I do Java, just Java, not Java C, class path, mail.jar, colon, activation.jar, colon, and this part's important, you do a colon dot for this one. And then email sender. Not with a .java, but just as is. Okay? So when I hit return, this should send an email. Let's try it out. Woohoo! Message sent successfully. Okay? So, Sebastian should have an email. Check your email, Sebastian, and type it in the chat if you got it. Nice. It should have been from RP test account 66 at gmail.com. So it's important when you're doing this is I would recommend compiling from the terminal. And the reason is that compiling from the terminal makes it easy to get the those jar files included in the compilation. One thing I forgot to show you. Um, One thing I forgot to show you is that these import statements are up at the top. And you don't really have to remember this because you're going to have these, okay? But these are the things that basically the jar file contains all of this stuff, okay? All right. So, some other ideas that you could use this for. You could, if you wanted to, you could send an email at a certain time because there's a time class in Java that checks the current time. So when you load the program, you could check, is the time equal to or later than the time when you wanted to send that email, so you could send it. There are ways of adding multiple recipients. Let me show you that, how to add multiple recipients. So I was going to show you just, there's a session class. You probably don't need to know about that. The properties class, you probably don't need to know about that. There's authenticator, password authentication, all that stuff you don't really need to know about. But I would check out the MIME message class because it has a lot of, so you can add recipients. So in particular, you could add multiple recipients. Set from, I wonder if you could spoof I wonder if there would be a way to send an email like it's coming from someplace else. Set content, etc. So there's just a lot of little sort of standard things that you would expect to see in email. So check it out. But one of the things I was thinking might be cool is to number one would be to set the time at which the email is set. So this would be great for those reminder kind of things. The other thing is you could add multiple recipients. You could even send the email multiple times with a loop, okay? Basically, you now can spam people as long as Gmail will let you, right? You could send an email every second to the same account if you wanted to, all right? That would be so annoying. Should do that to your parents or something. Send an email every second all day. All right. So that is my lesson for today, and I will see you in the Zoom room.